Sun's Solar Panel Podcast. We are joining you live this morning.
Solar distancing.
Solar distancing. My name is Tim Tompkins. As always, Mr. Dave King, very good friend of mine. Hello, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
And of course,
it's really good to actually socially interact with somebody that I can see face to face. This is awesome.
And of course, Mr. Greg Esposito.
Sorry, not coronavirus, just allergies. We're all right.
A coronahoid.
So
I just noticed hold on. I just noticed I still have the tag on the brim of my hat. This is gonna drive me nuts. Go ahead, Tim.
There we go. Isn't that what the kids do these days? They don't take the stickers off their hats.
I'm not a kid. I'm almost 40. I don't do what the kids do. How the hell should I know? I'm trapped in my house. All right. Let's just keep moving.
So I go skiing last week to Utah. No, I was not gone because I caught something in Vegas that came back.
You were close to Vegas.
And honestly, so I'm in Utah skiing and I'm at Deer Valley, and it is the most magical experience. The best vacation I've ever been on in my life. I mean, this place looks like it is out of a children's storybook. The skiing is phenomenal. I mean, it is just the trip of an absolute lifetime. I get back from Utah, and the whole fucking world's falling apart.
Hold on. You didn't know this in Utah?
Well, I mean, well, here's the thing: is it really started escalating, right? I'm there. I'm kind of reading the news stories. It's talking about some schools are closing here and there. No big deal. And then all of a sudden, I get back, and that's when shit hits the fan. And it's just this really strange time of everyone freaking out and panic buying the weirdest things at the store. So I go grocery shopping. I tried to get 4 boxes of pasta. They made me put back 2 of them.
And Tim's like, it's all I know how to make. I'm going to die.
How many ramens can I get? You can only get 3 ramens.
You can survive on pasta and red sauce for a while, right? So let me go buy some damn pasta and red sauce. Of course, meanwhile,
10-for-1 top ramens in college.
I'm worried about Greg because he's got a family. Dave works at a retirement home.
Oh my God.
No,
the bedpan cleaner.
No, again, congratulations on the promotion, Dave. You to bedpan cleaner. That's good stuff.
Yeah. I get this text from Tim. How you doing with all those old people around? I'm like, how many times have we gone over this? I work at the state pension system, which has regular aged people at it.
Except for Dave. He's the old one. So.
Except Dave.
I've been convinced for the last 3 years that Dave has managed a retirement home.
Yeah.
Legitimately, I thought that's what he did.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with managing a retirement home.
There's not.
Really nothing. It's just not my job.
Right now, it's probably not ideal. But back to your shopping.
Well, you know
thing.
what? They never leave, so they're probably not getting it.
Well, Tim, back to your shopping thing. I'm really glad that Dave can now go in from 6 to 7 in the morning and shop without any concerns at his age. He can go in and do that. Plus, you were talking about people buying the weirdest things, right? The toilet paper thing's odd to me, but then my wife said she went to one of our fine local grocery establishments. No free payola, or no free advertising here, and so everything's gone, right? Basically, except for bananas. And my thought was, if you bought the bananas, you don't have to worry about the toilet paper. That you're just going to get stopped up anyways, right? Yeah,
I've heard it depends on how old the banana is, and I always get them backwards, which is a bad idea. But if they're green, I forget. I think if they're green, they help you go, and if they're ripe and turning brown, that's what stops you up. But it might be the opposite. I'm not really sure.
You can Google this kind of stuff. But Tim, you were explaining.
What's Google?
You were explaining you had some interesting adventures when you got home due to a lack of preparation on your part. So
call it a lack of preparation. I had legitimately gotten down to one roll of toilet paper. And my thought was, when I get back from my ski vacation, I am just going to go to the store and buy more toilet paper like a normal human being would do any other time on the planet. I went to multiple grocery stores to get more toilet paper. I went to Circle K's. I went to Dollar Generals. I'm not sure if they have those out in Arizona. I went to Walgreens.
What kind of toilet paper is at Dollar General?
I would take any toilet paper at that point, right? Like, but it's not anywhere. And I watched this video.
I did find out from a reputed source on Twitter, though, a different way to wipe your ass. According to Mike Huckabee from, I think it's Arkansas, says to use corn on the cob.
Could do that. I'm not going to.
I ended up said to use corn on the cob.
Resorted to purchasing like really expensive disposable dinner napkins, right? Like packs of dinner napkins, because there's no toilet paper.
What about
finally yesterday? My boss gave me some, so I'm okay. But it's just the society's collapsing around us, and everyone's buying all the toilet paper. It's
Tim's weird. Going into full like panic. Okay, two things, right? Usually when you go to the bathroom, there's this thing that dispenses water called a shower right there. If you're really in an emergency,
right,
go there, right?
Yeah.
Of
course.
Two, I've already told my wife my emergency plan is if we run out, I'm cutting up a bunch of sheets because my butt deserves something better than disposable dinner napkins or a cob of corn. All right, that's where we're going.
Have some wet wipes. I happen to have plenty. If people want to actually, maybe I should post them on eBay or something like that. I have lots of toilet paper.
No, you're gonna get arrested if you start price gouging on toilet paper, Dave. Be kind, share that.
Cash only, man. I'll meet you and I'll meet you.
No meetings, social distancing.
Listen, guys, I have to do this
from across the street.
You'll toss it to somebody from 6 feet away. All right.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So I have to do this producing role thing. I have to like post the link up so people know to join in and all that fun stuff. But I want to get to something, and I want Dave to really take the reins on this. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to post the links in the YouTube chat over on the right, donation link and a nomination link. The Brightside COVID-19 Relief Fund. Dave, take it away.
Yeah, so I had this idea. Once a year, we've always done the Brightside Night to raise money to send kids to their first basketball game, and that has raised between $10,000 and $15,000 a year of donations from our community members, from our listeners, from our watchers and readers, and all that between Brightside and Solar Panel and the other pods that are related to Brightside. We've raised a lot of money once a year to send kids to a game. So I figured, why not actually use that power of donations, the power of people helping people, to help out those that are really hit hard financially by this social distancing and this COVID-19 pandemic. Here in Arizona, the governor has declared that all the bars need to be closed. Restaurants can be pickup only, which kills about 80 to 90% of their sales. You've got small businesses that are locally owned that don't have any real means to stay open. They're living day to day on their sales, on their business. These hourly workers, they can't, waitresses and waiters and bartenders and all that can't even work right now. Some of them are scraping by, but scraping by does not pay the rent, and scraping for the what we're doing is I've started a fund. A GoFundMe campaign. You can find it on brightsideofthesun.com. In the top banner, we talk about it. Starting a fund where we're going to help each other out. You just need to donate $10, $5, $50, $100, whatever you want to donate, and you can even suggest who to give the money to, either a local business or a person you know is really struggling and suddenly I know somebody who had 4 different sources of income. They're all gone in the past week because they're all hospitality or entertainment industry things. You've got arena workers, the Talking Stick Resort Arena folks. You got Chase Field. You got spring training folks. All those folks are just not working right now. What are they going to do for money? Go to brightsideofthesun.com. You can nominate somebody to receive some donations. Where I'm going to make sure that every dollar goes out to people who need it in the local community. And you can actually donate yourself. We've already raised overnight. I just posted this last Friday night about 9 p.m. We've raised over $500 so far. I need you guys to help me get this circulating around San Francisco. That's already in the $250,000 range. So obviously, I don't think we can get that high, but I really, really think we can help each other out. Not everybody's life is on hold. Everyone's life is on hold socially, but not everybody is out of money because we have jobs that actually that we don't lose because of this. We, you and me, who are like that, should be giving some of our money to those who don't have a job anymore, and they don't want to ask each other for money, and they don't have parents, they don't have friends who can help fund them. They need us. $5, $10, $50, whatever it is, please go on brightsideofthesun.com. Look for the link at the top of the page, and you can donate anything you can and or nominate people who should get some money.
Yeah, I give Dave a lot of crap. Most people think I disdain Dave, but the man has a big heart, and he always does great things like this. And please, I think we can all band together and do something good for not only our fellow Suns fans, but the community at large and the people around the world. I mean, this is about right now. It sounds cheesy, but people helping people, right? I mean, that's why we're social distancing. That's why we're doing all this, and there are people out there hurting financially as well. And not to get political, but since the government's not doing anything right now, we might as well try to help people ourselves. So I plead to you, go ahead and go to the GoFundMe page and donate whatever you can, whatever you're comfortable with right now. Let's help people out here.
Speaking of the world kind of going crazy, I'm also in talks with Jason DeVore of Authority Zero. Pretty big out there in Arizona as well as other places, but going to have him on the show soon to do an acoustic rendition of the song Remedy. So anybody that is familiar with Jason DeVore will know why we are picking that song. But sticking with the Suns, we're about 12 minutes into the show. It is good that we finally do talk about the Suns. Devin Booker.
Who? It's been so long.
He donated $100,000 to coronavirus relief funds in and around the Phoenix area. Did that on his Twitch channel. Speaking of, I'm sure you guys saw his reaction to finding out the season had ended on Twitch. And, it's just a couple weeks ago where we were looking at it and we were reading how LeBron James wouldn't play if fans weren't in the arena. And anyway, super good on Devin Booker to step up and do that.
Yeah, another guy with a big heart, and we know he loves this city. He loves the people in it, and he wants to help. And that's it's great to hear. And a lot of the NBA players have stepped up. We talked about this briefly last week, but Kevin Love, Giannis, Blake Griffin, just guys across the league stepping up and wanting to have an impact in this. And you see character in these times, and true character, and I'm glad that Devin Booker is one of the guys that has stepped up to help people. And it's been a crazy few weeks to say the least. I know
it's not going to stop anytime soon.
No, it's not, and that's the crazy thing, and I haven't looked at the show sheet, so we might be getting to this, but I'm going to jump ahead if we are, Tim. But I think the most interesting thing in play with this is that this could dramatically shift the entire NBA season for the future too. Like not just now, this could have an impact because the league's now talking about shifting the schedule in the future as well to go from December through August. So we could be seeing a grand experiment when this ends too. If the league tries to continue the year, we could see a shift in next year's schedule and for the future and how the NBA runs its league too. I know it's a minor thing in what we're dealing with, but it could be a major change for basketball fans.
You guys ready for Tim's stat of the week?
Hold on. I got something for you, Timmy. I think this will work. Did you hear it? I don't know if you guys can hear it, but on the stream they just heard.
Not loud enough.
No. It's actually built into the streaming. So on the stream, they should have just heard one of those DJ horns. So that bad boy just went out because it's stat of the week.
that was cool, man. I kind of heard it, but go back and do the editing and get a real sense of how loud that was. Sweet. So right now, honestly, there's not a lot of stats going on in the NBA, so we aren't going to do that. So I'm gonna switch it back for the foreseeable future to talk about and break down what some of these different terms mean and relate it to the Suns. So this week we are going to go over offensive rating. What that is the points the team scores per 100 possessions. The Suns this season had an offensive rating of 110.5, which was their best since 2010 when the Suns lost in the conference finals. Fun note about that season, Amari Stoudemire, Steve Nash, and Grant Hill missed 2 games all season long combined between the 3 of them.
Wow. Imagine your top three of your top players, your top 2, and then I don't remember where Grant Hill probably ranked that year, probably 4 or 5. That's pretty incredible for those guys to be healthy all year. But I don't know if the Suns had, Devin Booker missed 3 games, but everybody else on that top 4, top 5 missed significant time.
Depending on where you put Mikal Bridges, yeah.
Oh, true. Okay, Mikal Bridges actually did get through that, so he'd probably be the Grant Hill of this team, huh?
Actually, the Amari Stoudemire of this team.
The importance
of
a training staff.
I don't think he's a clear number 2.
No, I thought you were just referring to percentage of games played. But yes, in your reference. Okay. He would be that. I also do want to go ahead and thank listener Jeff Allen for supporting the Sun Solar Panel podcast. Jeff, we really appreciate you.
Thank you, Jeff.
If you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast and you do feel like you get a lot out of the show and you want to donate $1, $5, or $10 a month, just open up the show notes. There's a support the show button on the bottom. If you do the $5 or the $10 one, I will personally send you some Sun swag. So this is your chance, if you do not like me, that you can force me to go to the post office and get coronavirus so that I can send you some Suns items.
Oh, jeez.
So there's going to be some former Suns podcasters out there ordering a ton of this stuff.
Maximum effort, everybody. Make Tim send some stuff in. Yeah. Hey, look, you live in Spring Break Central, where idiots were still out on the beaches until the governor shut it down. So
no, guys. First off, I live in St. Augustine, which is a beautiful historic town, the oldest town in America, actually. Where there's spring breakers don't go. Spring breakers go to like Fort Lauderdale and Tampa and Miami and stuff like that. That's not who comes here. Who comes here are families that are coming to the Fountain of Youth that ride the trolleys and give everyone coronavirus that way.
Oh, okay. Dave's now interested in coming and visiting you.
How is anywhere in Florida the Fountain of Youth?
I don't know. It just is. All right. So gorilla time. We are going to, over the next couple of episodes, grade the Suns season. Up until this point, who knows what the hell is going to happen, but, we got some time to kill, and we're going to do it. So we're going to start off, though, with the centers and the power forwards on this episode. Coming up on the next 2 episodes, we're going to have point guard, shooting guard, small forward, coaching staff, and Robert Sarver as well. The criteria for this is going to be A, B, C, D, or F, and I want to define this for my lovely co-hosts who perhaps haven't read the show notes, but also for you watching or listening right now.
Wait, we can't do it based on emojis. We got to do it based on letters. I was just going to go, that's the emoji everybody's getting.
Right. Well, a little bit hard in podcast version. So an A would be nearly perfect, but also far exceeded your expectations for them this season. A B would be good, but exceeded expectations. And this is important. A C would be just fine, exactly how we expected them to play. A C is not a bad grade. They lived up to expectations. They did not exceed them. Right.
So it's the Dave King of grading system of the grading system.
Yeah, sure. Um,
Okay,
D,
wait. If we're going to apply our grades here, none of us get A's. None of us get B's. I get a C. Greg gets a D. Disappointing season.
Dave, I was just saying,
And then
in your
who
life,
gets the
you were
F?
just a
Actually,
C,
Greg, you're going to
right?
get the F. Get this mofo off the team.
and then I'll get the D. Now, a D would be a disappointing season, a bit worse than we expected, but an F would be get this mofo off the team immediately, right? So the two extremes we're going to go on. Let's go ahead and let's start with centers, all right? Start with Aaron Baines. All the stats are going to be for this as well. Aaron Baines, this season, 22 minutes, 15.1 PER, 11 points a game, 5.6 rebounds, 0.5 blocks. He shot 35% from three. The Suns were negative a half a point with him on the court all season long. Games played 42, games started 28, and he did not rank in the top 20 in the NBA for anything.
Look, we all know tale of two seasons with this guy. It was an A at the beginning, and I think it was probably an F in that second half stretch after he was injured. It's probably harsh. I'll give him a D. So it probably rounds out to a solid B for him. It's slightly better than we expected, but could have been a solid A if he had even slightly carried through what he had done at the beginning of the season after he had been injured. So I'll give him a B.
Dave?
Yeah. So obviously Aaron Baines was incredible in the opening few weeks, and then he hurt his hip and he hurt other things. He hurt his calf and all kinds of things just started happening to him. And then the hip recurred. So as far as I guess I have to go similar to what Greg said, even though I hate doing that. But he was far exceeding expectations to start the year. I would give him a solid D, if not an F, on his when he came back, because he just wasn't the same guy. And it wasn't just the offense, because he suddenly turned it back around when he got healthier again. He was really struggling with injuries this year. So, but I'm going to finish it with a B. And the reason I say that is because he helped us have a better feel about this past season than we otherwise would have felt when DeAndre Ayton was suspended for 25 games. So I'm going to give him a B. He saved the respectability of the season for the Suns, which is better than I expected.
I pretty much completely agree with both of you guys. That mid part of the season, where he was injured, coming back from injury, and then he just was not as good as a backup as he is a starter, and that seems clear regardless. He just seems more comfortable in that role. I would have gone with an A, but he was so bad for those stretches, but he was so good for other stretches, right? So I think we're all in agreement with a B for Aaron Baines.
All right, then. I like how you're recording these so we can go back and look later.
100%. Shaq Diallo this season, 10 minutes, a 16.3 PER, average 4.8 points, 2.9 rebounds. On off court, the team was negative 6 points with him on the court. He played 44 games. He started 2, and he did not wind up in the top 20 for anything in the league.
I'll go first this time, even though Greg was inhaling to do another diatribe.
No, I wasn't. I just allergies. Don't worry.
Let's see. So check Diallo. I probably had higher expectations than I should have for him. He did not really make the consistent rotation in New Orleans. People thought he was an untapped potential guy, and going to a bad team in Phoenix, he could suddenly show off his talents. And in preseason and a couple of opening stints of the year, he actually showed some real good touch around the rim, finishing on pick and rolls, and just showed a little bit different athleticism than what we were all stuck with the kind of the maple tree kind of big guys for a while with Frank and Aaron, Baines and Dario Saric after DeAndre Ayton went down. So Shaq might have looked incredibly athletic compared to them, but he looked good. Still, though, those moments were few and far between. Shaq does not really have enough of an NBA game to be a solid rotation player, and that's why I'm going to actually give him a D this year. I'm going to give him a D.
I know it's not on your list, but it's part of my show, so I'm going to make it up anyways. I'm going to give him an incomplete because I don't think we saw enough of him.
No, you can't give him an incomplete. This is as big a role as he's ever had in his career. Would his whole career be incomplete?
Fine. Then I'm going to give him a C because I don't see how he could have done much more than what you thought he was going to do. Like this, I mean, like, look, he came in. There weren't a whole lot of expectations. When he got playing time, he played pretty well for the most part. He was in and out of the rotation and in and out of playing minutes. I mean, I think you got what you could have expected out of Diallo, and if he had been given more minutes, who knows what could have happened with that athleticism and some of the flashes he showed. So I'll give him a C, but I really think we don't fully know what he could have done because he didn't get consistent minutes in Monty's rotation. So that's where I'm at with Shaq Diallo.
I agree with you, although I am going to go with a D as well, and that's because I remember specifically episodes that we had starting this off our season previews, and I really thought Shaq Diallo was going to be the one player on the Suns that myself as well as other Suns fans were just screaming to get more minutes because he was known as a hustle player. I liked what I'd seen out of him before, and although he was pretty good, I did not see that same type of hustle and energy from him. So to me, he was disappointing. I do think he didn't get enough of a run, and I think there were definite times in which other 10-day contracts, for example, were favored over him, which was a little bit surprising. But I also think that there's a good chance that he wasn't proving it in practice, and that if he was, that Monty would have played him. So I gotta go with a D on Shaq Diallo.
I mean, the point about practice is fair. We obviously don't see that. We don't know how a guy puts forth effort, and a coach will take that into consideration in terms of how he doles out his minutes. So I think that's a fair point. I'll stick with the C because I didn't expect as much from Diallo as you did. I mean, I think you kind of projected him as that Rashawn Holmes light kind of guy in the off season. I never 100%. Expected as much from him, so I understand where you're coming from. Dave, I have no clue where he's coming from, but Tim, I understand you.
Oh, well, that's okay that you don't have any clue because then that means I don't have to worry about you agreeing with me very often.
No problem. We agree on that.
All right. And then with likely the second best player on the team, I don't feel comfortable saying that. And now with the other center, DeAndre Ayton.
Oh, you got the A wrong in our show notes, dude. Come on.
Yeah, that's okay. No one can see it. All right, DeAndre Ayton averaged 33 minutes a game. He had a 20.4 PER, 19 points, 12 rebounds, 1.7 blocks. The Suns were 3.5 points per 100 possessions better with him on the court. He played 30 games. He started 25, and he did end up with the top 20 ranking in the NBA for field goal percentage at 54.8%, which would have given him 14th in the league overall. Let's go ahead and start with Greg.
Look, I struggle with this because if I'm looking just at the play on the court, I probably go an A because he blossomed particularly in those last 20 games that he played. You started to see how a guy like DeAndre could dominate certain games in this league, but you can't ignore the fact that he got himself suspended for 25 games, right? If he had been there for those 25, who knows where the Suns could have been in terms of a weak Western Conference for that 8th seed in the playoffs. So with that in mind, I have to give him a B because he was slightly better than what a lot of us expected when you take into consideration that he got himself suspended. So I'll give him a B on this.
This is a really tough one. How about Tim? You go second this time.
I can't I can't give him any better than a C, and I even think that is being given.
Whoa, you
When you get yourself suspended for 25 games, which could likely tank. It didn't end up, tanking the Sun season necessarily. Could likely tank an entire season for a franchise when you are that important of a player, regardless of the huge improvements that DeAndre Ayton showed. He's a damn good player. He's going to be damn good in the future. But when you get yourself suspended for 25 games to start the season, I even feel like it's nice to give you a C. Because honestly, what the expectations were, you weren't going to get suspended for 25 games. Like that's, I don't know. That's what I'm going to go with. I think he was really good. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So this is a really tough one, and some people might actually dub this as the second most DeAndre Ayton slanted podcast in the market, because we do think about, this team's future is around DeAndre Ayton, and so it's why are we tearing him down constantly if he's the guy we're going to have to get into the future, and he responds to positive feedback and all that crap. I know people don't want to hear it, but this is the way human beings are. Some human beings are motivated by negativity, and some human beings are motivated by positivity. But anyway, that all being said, I got to give Ayton a D for the season.
You guys
just
are
turned
nuts.
out to. This coronavirus thing is not his fault, obviously. The 25 game suspension.
Some of the Luka fans might be blaming COVID-19 on Ayton as well, but
oh man. So, but the 25 game suspension is his fault. It's not his fault that he twists his ankles. Lots of young players, especially as big as he is, that they have issues with keeping their body healthy when they're young. It's not his fault that the plague is happening, but it is his fault that he got himself suspended the first 25 games that we all know in retrospect would have been an even better outcome with him on the court the entire time. And he did something stupid that nobody contested that got him out for 25 games. He's one of only 3 players this year, 2 players, and only a half a dozen over the past 10 years to get themselves suspended this way. So dumb on you, DeAndre Ayton, for having done this, and you'd better make up for it in future years and play all these games, because the Suns would have been even better. Although then now you could look at it as, imagine that this might be the year the Suns qualify for playoff contention and the season gets canceled. Yeah. So maybe he saved us from even more disappointment and hate toward the NBA.
That is the only reason I guarantee that the season will start back up, because the Suns aren't in playoff contention, because if they had been, it already would have been canceled completely.
Can you imagine that, man? Suns
yes, I can.
Looking all pretty, ready to go, and then bam, the season just okay. Well, we're not going to play anymore.
Well, DeAndre. Fairness,
but let me tell you, I'm giving him a D. That's just the way it is.
DeAndre Ayton can't catch a break, right? A, you guys just are hating on him, but then B, he's not even the best DeAndre in the Valley anymore with DeAndre Hopkins coming to town. He's now the second best DeAndre in Arizona. How? I mean,
the Suns
this guy can't catch a help
on their team. The NBA version. Who's the NBA version of DeAndre Hopkins?
Oh, I don't know. A guy Sean Marion.
So,
old school.
Actually, so DeAndre Hopkins, obviously in the NFL, you only play one side of the ball, so he's offense only. Extremely productive, but he's not the playmaker.
He's Kelly Oubre,
quarterback.
Kelly Oubre gets his blocks in though, man.
Yeah,
flashy plays.
That's a good one. Who is the ultimate? Like people were saying, Paul George, but Paul George is a two-way player.
Yeah, Paul George plays.
And his Cantor, his Cantor gets exposed defensively. It has to be somebody who's a neutral defensively, but an extreme positive offensively. Yeah. Is he Devin? No, he's not Devin Booker because he only receives.
He's
You
Kelly
think he's
Oubre,
Kelly?
and because he gets the exciting play. The one-handed catches
Plays
like Kelly's
the great
dunks.
version of Kelly Oubre, though. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins in the NFL is better than Kelly Oubre in the NBA.
Yes, that's fair, but I think it's the kind of energy, impact, the spectacular plays, like only plays one side of the ball, there's a neutral on the other. I think that's a pretty good description of Kelly Oubre there.
Klay Thompson?
Maybe Clay.
No, Klay Thompson is a positive on the defensive end.
This went in a bizarre way. I was simply saying DeAndre Ayton.
JJ Redick. Maybe he's JJ Redick.
Poor DeAndre Ayton, now the second best DeAndre in Arizona. Not only does he have to worry about a name like Luka, he has to worry about his own name being a better athlete than him in the same town he's in now. Just no luck for DeAndre Ayton.
Speaking of the NFL for a minute, aren't they just going, man, this is great timing for this pandemic because they get to do all their stuff electronically. They're still doing free agency. They're the only new sports news in the country. And we're probably all going to be back to at least talking to each other in person by the time training camps open in July.
Well, I hope so.
We hope.
Jesus. All right. So
guys,
moving on.
This is bigger than we all think it is.
Yes, I don't want to talk about Corona.
That's why I'm living in this closet. I haven't left since last week's show. So.
Your wife is banging on the door. Come out.
There's all sorts
I have
of
a podcast on Saturday.
There's all sorts of jars on the floor. You guys don't want to know. It's getting weird in this closet. So. Getting weird.
Feel free to come out anytime, buddy.
Hey.
Moving on.
Come out of the closet, Greg.
Frank Kaminsky, 22 minutes, 14.5 PER, 4.9 rebounds a game, 11 points, 34.8% from three. The Suns were 1.5 points worse, over 100 possessions with him on the court. He played 32 games. He started 13, and he did not end up in the top 20 of anything in the league. I will go ahead and I will start.
Yes. Go ahead.
Feel free to start any time.
No, it's hard. Expectations were relatively low, and I think to a certain extent, he played pretty well. I think that we were a bit too hard on him, but I think that the Suns really felt it when he wasn't there, and how nice it would have been to have Frank Kaminsky there. You can't blame him for injury, so you can only take into account the time you had when he was playing, because the injury was not his fault.
What do you say?
Come on, Tim. What do you got for us?
I mean, I guess I'm gonna go with the B. Honestly, I mean, I don't know, man. I'll go with the B, and I don't feel good about it.
Where are you leaning toward?
B or C,
Look,
probably. It's based off of our own expectations, so it's trying to remember
Right.
what the expectation was for Frank Kaminsky coming
I think
in.
most people figured Frank Kaminsky shouldn't even be in the rotation, and Chuck Diallo should get his minutes. And
I
people
was
were
not.
really
That's not
pissed
how-
that the Suns
not how
spent
I
$5
felt
million
about
on Frank.
Look, I bought beachfront property in Kaminsky Cove, so let's not say all of us wanted Diallo to play. All right.
Did you buy that
Yes.
in July though?
I wanted
In
Frank to play because he
July.
could shoot.
No,
we
I
got
think
recordings.
July
We could go
was
back
July.
and listen. I'm sure. Yeah.
I think
Hold
you
on.
did the Kaminsky Cove in the fall.
I did that.
got-
Yes.
Guys, we got Kurt Bermaggio. Kurt, I'm so sorry. I just butchered your last name.
Bermejo, I'm guessing, is how
welcome
you
to the
say it.
good
He became
Lord,
an Italian
sorry, Kurt.
cheese. Bermaggio.
Bermazio.
I think it's Bermejo, maybe Bermejo. Go ahead. Anyways,
God, please, just read it.
He's giving Frank Kaminsky an A.
so
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
so Kurt went to Wisconsin.
So we didn't go to Jesus Christ, not just people in Wisconsin think he had a great season. I'm going second. I'm going to give him a solid A, and I'm not going to look back. You guys, Frank Kaminsky was supposed to be nothing. People laughed at that signing. People said, oh my God, how do the Suns give 2 years, $10 million to this guy? And oh, thank God the second year is team option so you can cut him as quickly as possible. Oh, he's never going to be in the rotation. Oh, he's terrible as an NBA player. He can't move. He can't do anything. He gets on that court and he busts his ass on that court, and he played hard every minute he played. He went through slumps on scoring, but he still played hard. Then when he made his first three in weeks, he'd still wave the little three, the hand on his face, the 3-finger hand. So, I mean, the dude was great compared to expectations, far exceeded expectations. He was supposed to be nothing, and he turned out to be something. He started for 13 games this year. He played as well as you could better than anyone expected him to play. And it's not his fault that he got hurt, and the Suns did suffer when he was completely out of the rotation because of the injury. So I'm looking forward to the Suns picking up his team option and giving him chance number 2 in season 2 as where he should be, which is the backup 4 or 5 when you need to stretch the floor and go 5 out. I think I'm excited to have Frank back. He's limited. Obviously, he's limited. He's never going to be a really good player in the NBA, but did he far exceed expectations? 100%. So I give him a solid A.
Look, he had to play out of position part of this year. Started part of the year when we all know he's not a starter, but filled in admirably. His shooting was part of why they got off to such a hot start. When he got injured, you could see it killed a lot of the floor spacing that they had at times, especially because he and Baines got injured at around the same time. But I was going to give him a B, but then I remembered 2 things that put him solidly in an A. When the Suns did that fashion show, he came out in full denim with a cowboy hat. That takes balls. So you get additional props from me. Plus, he provided me my favorite moment of the season on Aaron Baines' step back 3 in that crazy game where he hit 9 3-pointers. Frank is under the basket doing the "Are You Not Entertained" from Gladiator. He walked from the bench under the basket, giving the crowd the "Are You Not Entertained." So those 2 things push him from a solid B to an A in my book. He exceeded expectations on the court, and I think he was a big reason that the locker room was a pretty solid locker room this year as well, because he's a guy that understands you have to have some fun during this as well. So I'll give Frank an A as well.
It's hilarious. I can't wait to. I'm going to keep that thought until we get through this. So power forwards, moving on. This list is a lot shorter. I just want everyone to know how I got this list was simply because the positions changed so much depending on the lineups and the time of year and who was injured and who wasn't. So I just used Basketball Reference that essentially gave the percentage of time they played at that position, which would have put it's a whole weight issue and everything else. Regardless, we're going to go power forward. We only have 2 that I'm listing here because Cam Johnson arguably played some time power forward as well, but we'll do him the small forwards. Starting it off with Dario Saric, 25 minutes a game, 13.3 PER, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 34% from 3. The Suns were 2.1 points worse per 100 possessions with him on the court. He played 58 games. He started in 50, and he did not end up in the top 20 for anything in the NBA. Dave, let's start with you.
I love how you're using the top 20 in the entire NBA leaderboards as like your final qualifier on that.
Well, that's because there's several Suns players that I want to highlight how good they were, and that's why, because I do have those listed.
Okay. All right. Saric, I'll start. Man, you know what? I'm going to go the opposite on him that I did on Frank, and I'm just going to say it's a D. And let me tell you why. I expected disappointing. The definition here we have is disappointing season, worse than expected. I was looking for good things from Dario Saric. I know he had a tough year in Minnesota after he got traded out of Philadelphia, but his second year in the NBA when he was just 23 years old, and now he's just 25. I mean, that was just 2 seasons ago. Dario was really good for that Sixers team that won 50-some games. I think it was 50. They won 50-32, and they made the second round of the playoffs. Dario was really good. He hit 38% of his threes. I think he was a 13-7 player. as their third or fourth best player on the team. He started nearly every game. I expected a lot from Dario Saric. I know he's not the most athletic or prettiest to look at, and when he's on, it's so funny to watch the bumbling, stumbling, rumbling. I kept wishing Chris Myers would be calling his games sometimes to watch him barrel to the basket when he was when he was really feeling it. He's a bumbly kind of player, but he can be effective. He just wasn't effective enough for the Suns. He always tried hard. He always had a good attitude. He was healthy for the most part. He did have some nicks and bruises and stuff through the year, and he missed a few games, but he was healthy for a lot of the season. And he was in and out of the lineup depending on the kind of opponents the Suns had. Monty was really trying to slot him into positions to succeed when he could. I just am not happy with the season he had, and I'm sure he's not happy with the season he had. So he's going to call it opportunity. He's going to be call it playing out of position, I guess. If I was him, I'd do the same thing. But I think when he was put into positions to succeed, he didn't do it enough. And so I'm going to give him a D. Greg, what do you think?
To correct Tim, he did lead. He was in the top 20 in the league in emo haircuts. Emo haircuts.
Poor guy's got a huge cowlick on the back of his head, man. But he can't do anything with his hair.
Look, I thought he was going to be the answer.
His head's probably shaped too weird to go bald.
Probably. I look at it, and honestly, I had immense expectations. I thought he was going to be the answer at power forward, at least in the short term, and he didn't prove to be that. Plus, when you take into account what they gave up to get him in the 6th pick in the draft, they moved down to 11 and pick up Dario. I want to go F, but based on our... No, you know what? I'm going to give him an F. I expected this guy to provide stability at the power forward spot. He did not provide that at all, and fell out of the rotation at one point. He's not going to be on the roster next year. This was a failed experiment in a year where a lot of James Jones's experiments worked. This was not one of them, and I'm going to give him an F. He did not meet. He just was not good enough to actually fill that role, and it's time to move on and find the actual answer at power forward. I give Sarge an F.
So just to clarify, because we did define F as being get this mofo off the team.
And I just said get this mofo off the team.
Okay, fair enough. I had higher expectations for Dario Saric coming into the season. I think to a certain point, he lived up to them at certain stretches. He's the type of player where the box score doesn't tell the full story. He's a really good passer. I think that his defense was better than expected a lot of the time. I think that his help defense was actually really good, and that he did provide valuable floor spacing at times. That being said, it was a disappointing season. I expected more from him. There were games where, to your point, he pretty much fell out of the rotation. He was still, even then, though, getting between 15, 20 minutes a game. There were several of those where he scored just 3 points, and I don't think that scoring is the only way that you can impact a game, but you still got to score more than 3. Right?
He was supposed to be the answer at power forward, and he made it a bigger question mark for this team than he answered anything.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with D. I'm not going to go with F, but I'm going to go with D as well. Now, this next one's interesting, and I'm excited.
So let me just hold on. You talked about, Greg, just really quick. You talked about what the Suns could have done instead of acquiring Dario Saric in that draft day trade. So just recap for any one Suns fan who might have forgotten how this went down, was that the Suns had the 6th pick. Well, first of all, they had the 2nd worst record in the NBA, but thanks to the lottery, they ended up with the 6th overall pick. And then with that 6th overall pick, they traded down to get Dario Saric, and then took at the 11th spot Cameron Johnson. Now, you could say that the Suns were just horned in on Cameron Johnson anyway, so it's an indictment on the Suns scouting department more than anything on who they were going to take in the draft when they finally took somebody. There were some, I don't know how true the rumors are, but there were some rumors that if they couldn't trade down, they still might have just had Cam Johnson at number 6. But the guys who were taken ahead of Cam Johnson between the number 6 pick and the number 11 pick. Did not have great rookie seasons and they were on bad teams too. Jarrett Culver didn't even score 10 points a game. It wasn't really great for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Kobe White really had a bad few months until that last week or two before the season got suspended. Jackson Hayes didn't really get in the Pelicans rotation even when Derek Favors was out a lot, though he's got some nice potential for sure. Rui Hachimura played a lot for the Washington Wizards, but that's because they really needed somebody to play. I mean, there were some good talents. Cam Reddish had a really tough start to his career, but he was getting a little bit better. There are some really good talents in that draft that they could have taken with that 6th pick. And certainly, obviously, we talk about Brandon Clark, but it looks like the Suns weren't going after Brandon Clark anyway, or they would have taken him at 11.
But I mean,
that's an indictment on the Suns scouting, not on Dario Saric.
No, but the thing is, you essentially took Cam Johnson at number 6, right? The way this plays out, because Dario did nothing for you this season. He's going to be gone next season. So you traded the 6th pick for Cam Johnson.
I disagree. What they did is they invested in 1 year of getting more respectable. Dario helped them get more respectable. I give him a D, but he still allowed them to get more respectable at that power forward position while the Suns' other young players kind of grew up a little bit. So I almost want to now I want to raise the grade to C because of what you just said. We're going to change my grade. I'm going to raise my grade to a C because of what Greg just said.
Just because he was a veteran, it was he made him more
he provided stability to a team that needed it, that could have completely gone in the tank when DeAndre Ayton went down for that suspension. Dario helped keep them afloat along with Frank Kaminsky because then Aaron Baines went down a few games later. Be quiet, Greg. No, now I'm going to raise my grade to a C just because of that. That's what I'm.
How does a guy who completely fell out of the rotation help? No, you're totally wrong on this one, Dave. And I wonder if I keep arguing with you, if you'll raise it to an A by the end, just out of spite and look really dumb. Look,
Dario's got a C.
Look, and I was the guy pounding on the table that they should have traded that pick before we even knew where it was in the draft lottery, because that was when it was the most valuable. Instead, you get Dario Saric and Cam Johnson. You might as well have just taken Johnson at 6 because you got. I just don't think Dario Saric had much of any impact on this year, and it meant you weren't going to go try to find a power forward to actually plug that hole because you thought he was the answer, and he wasn't. So now you're sitting in the same exact spot you were last offseason. You need to answer the power forward spot. It's an F to me. It was a complete failure.
He's got a C for me. Oh. Screw you, Greg.
It's a B now. Dave says he has a B now.
Well, look, the overall outcome of this season is that the Suns became a respectable NBA team that other teams had to play harder to beat. That is a given. I don't think you can argue that. A year ago, teams were not playing the Suns as hard as they were playing them this year.
I don't argue that, but I don't think Dario was a big factor in that.
I think he was a factor in that. All right, fuck it. Give him a B.
Let's get it to an A. No.
We'll stay with C.
All right.
We'll stay with C. We'll stay with C.
Tim, please get this back on the rails.
All right. This one I find really interesting. Mikal Bridges, 27 minutes, a 13 PER, 8.7 points, 4 rebounds, 1.4 steals per game. He shot 35% from 3. The Suns were 7.2 points per 100 possessions better with Mikal Bridges on the floor. He played in 65 games, started 24, in the top 20 in the NBA for games played at 65. He was 4th. 93 steals for 8th in the league. He was 20th in defensive box plus minus, and he was 19th in the league with a true shooting percentage of 62.3. Mikal Bridges.
I'm going to give him.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to give him an A. Because honestly, I wasn't I wasn't as much of a Mikal guy as everybody else going into this season. I looked at him. I thought, okay, not a guy that does anything that wows me. And as I continued to watch him this season, I just saw more Sean Marion in his game. I just saw more a guy that's going to impact every little aspect. He was not expected to be an offensive threat for this team, so he filled the role that was expected of him. And then when they needed offense, he came through in a lot of those games. This was a big step forward for Mikhail this year. I looked at it as a guy that, as I said, wasn't huge on him going into this year, and I became a real fan. So if we're basing it on expectations in that way, he gets an A for me. He far exceeded what I was looking for, and I started to see the things that made me realize this guy will be an integral part of what they're trying to do and what they were able to accomplish with him in the starting lineup. His impact, you look at the steals, he does the little things that aren't flashy, and I'm going to give him an A. I don't care what Dave has to say about it. It's an A for me.
Tim, you go second.
I love Mikal Bridges' game. I think he is the perfect example of a player that has a huge impact on a game without scoring a lot of points. I thought that he really upped his offensive game, not just by fixing the hitch in his shot, but I thought that his cutting got to be a lot better. The fact that he would guard 1 through 4 and legitimately guard point guards throughout the courses of games, I thought was incredibly impressive. He exceeded my expectations to where I thought he was going to be on so many levels this year. That being said, I'm going to go with a B because 8.7 points is not enough to warrant an A, in my opinion. If he had been closer to 15 a game, I would give him more. But the fact that his shooting percentage was so good, he should have scored more. And I really don't want to ever.
Tim?
Well,
you look at it, and you got Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Kelly Oubre. Those are the three that are going to do the bulk of your scoring there.
Right.
Sean Marion was not an aggressive scorer either. And his second year, he was 17 points a game and 10 rebounds a game.
And I don't even think he needs to get to 17. I just 8.7 as, the starting power forward through a lot of the season. It's just not enough. You just got to score more. But a B is not a bad grade.
No, I know.
I think that's probably the best grade I've given anybody so far. A B is really good, but he's got to score more than 10 points a game.
I think that's fair. And Dave, I said things that he did reminded me of Sean Marion, not that he is Sean Marion or the second coming of Sean Marion. Let's be clear on that.
Well, I'm going to hold you to that from going.
Your turn, Dave, if you'd like to go.
Okay. I would like to go.
There you go.
Okay, so Mikal Bridges, this is interesting because I did not expect him to be a big scorer this year. I didn't expect him to be a big stats guy. I expected him to be the advanced stats guy where he helps you win games in other ways besides scoring and rebounding. So in that respect, he met my expectations because he didn't score and he didn't rebound too much. So in that respect, he met my expectations. I expected him to be one of the best defenders in the league. I expected him to be a below aggressiveness level scorer. He didn't take enough shots. Somehow Frank Kaminsky was taking more threes than him most of the season. And that shouldn't happen. I mean, Mikal was set up to be out there taking shots, and he just wouldn't take them. He had that weird hitch in his shot, and he had a long release. And I mean, it took him a while to get through all that. And I remember Monty even saying recently because Mikal Bridges really had a good final month or 2 months of the season. Absolutely. And Monty Williams mentioned recently, he's like, yeah, man, when we started, because this is Monty's first year coaching Mikal. He's like, at the start of the season, we knew we had a lot of work to do with him. And they shouldn't have had so much work to do with Mikal Bridges. They shouldn't have. Mikal Bridges was a 38% three-point shooter in college, shooting at a high clip, and he averaged 17 points as his final year in college. I think it was his junior year. He averaged 17 points a game. He took a lot of threes, and he made a lot of them. he shouldn't have had so much work to do, but they had a lot of work to do with him offensively. Defensively, he just obviously proved himself. So I think he met expectations just fine. What we expected is what I'm going to give him. So I'm going to say a C.
What I want to know is who broke his shot, because somebody in the organization had to have screwed with that thing. He didn't just all of a sudden develop that. Maybe he did, but why would he have changed things after a successful college run?
Let's start down at your hip, let's stop at your chest, and then continue. No coach is going to tell you to do that.
Before this season, have you seen the poo-poo platter of what the Suns have brought in to work with some of their players? It would not shock me.
No coach is going to say that.
It would not shock me. That, or they didn't fix it the first year.
Big props to everybody for figuring it out. In the last couple of months, he was making 40% of his threes. He just wasn't taking enough of them. There was, I mean, the fact that I can count on one hand how many games he actually looked like he was ready to take shots when he caught the ball, that's not a good sign. I mean, Mikal, you need to get more aggressive on catch and shoots.
Look, and it's fair because these are based off of what our initial expectations were for a player. So I understand where you are with a C on that, and I think my expectations were just lower for Mikal coming into the year than yours were.
Don't agree with me. It makes me feel bad.
Oh, well, good. I'm going to keep agreeing. Dave, you were a super genius on that point, and I hope it makes you feel dirty.
Okay, so we're at an hour. Let's go ahead and recap the scores that we had. All right, so Aaron Baines averaged a solid B between all of us. Shek Diallo, 2 Ds and a C. DeAndre Ayton, a C, a B, and a D. Frank Kaminsky, 2 A's and a B. Power forward, Dario Saric, a C, a D, and an F. And Mikal Bridges, a C, an A, and a B. So collectively, the highest rating we gave to any player that we graded was Frank Kaminsky. Congrats, guys.
Well, this is the context. The context was compared to expectations.
Hey, the denim cowboy hat outfit was the deciding factor in that. That was the clincher. Congratulations, Frank. Kaminsky Cove living strong here on the show.
And I got to tell you that he actually rivaled the best of Big Sauce on sideline reactions to big plays by the teammates. He was so good on the bench.
And he's so goofy looking.
A good guy. He's goofy looking, exactly. He's a goofy mofo. But I do want him back next year. Hey, guys, I just want to say that I really appreciate this pod. I've been doing the social distancing thing. My entire life has changed in the past week over what I've been so used to for the past 15 years. Here's my life for the past 15 years. Go to work, go to the workplace and deal with people all day long. Work with 100 different people all day long. That's just been, no, not old people, Tim, but regular age people all day long. And see them face to face and work and manage things on social cues that I can see people. At night, do sports. If it's not the Suns, it's something else. It's some other sports, watching sports, playing sports, doing something. At lunch, at work, I would go to the gym. I would work out 5-6 days a week. On the weekends, I've got a small membership at LA Fitness. During the week, I've got a little membership at the fitness club in our building. And then, then I would just I would watch sports, like I said. So I'd watch sports, I'd work out, I'd hang out with people inside and outside of work, and then I'd see people all day at work. None of that's the same over the past week. Everything has completely changed. So it's a new world. I rarely actually see people anymore because I'm in a kind of a tough spot. I'm in my 50s. I've got a bad lung problem because of my asthma. I've had heavy asthma my whole life. And so I'm trying to keep myself alive. The first reported death in Arizona is a 50-something Maricopa County resident male. So I'm just really taking this seriously, and I appreciate seeing you guys, hanging out with you guys on this. And I think we should probably do more of these, even if we don't pod them, do them live. But I would love to. I want to keep this going, and I really appreciate just talking basketball. I have not been in the mood to even write about basketball for the past couple of weeks either. And it's going to go longer. And so I really appreciate you guys spending time with me today and talking about this stuff.
Dave, I love that started out as just a humble brag where you're like, I work out 6 to 7 times a day. And
I'm not saying I work out hard. I'm just saying I do something.
No, I agree, man. I'm glad we can do this. I'm glad we can talk with each other and talk with fans. I think there's some opportunities to catch up with some of our friends, like the Fanning the Flames guys, do some different things here. We're in
Our
this.
new Suns Report podcast as well on Brightside.
Are they nice? We haven't met them. We'll have to introduce ourselves. But hey, can we get to the donkey thing that I'm going to try to do here? Can we talk about that before we go?
Yeah. Do you want to? Yeah. Go ahead. Tell everybody, because I think they need to go vote right on your Twitter. I actually looked for the tweet and I couldn't find it.
We haven't done it yet. This is the unveiling of it, Tim.
Why you couldn't find it?
We're unveiling it here on the program. It's the Donkey Award Tweet 16 tournament that we're going to have, right? Put together a 16 tweet bracket of the most egregious things that people have said in regards to the Suns this season on Twitter, ranked them 1 through 16 with the help of Jared Cohen, a friend of the pod, a friend of mine. I just put together the bracket last night, and I'm going to unveil the 1 versus 16 matchup right here. Number 1 seed at @true_rise. Josh Jackson has already contributed more to winning basketball than Devin Booker has. We're not blaming the player here either way. Still, think about it. So that's the number 1 seed in this tournament versus the number 16 seed, Ben Lander, at @BLander_. Takes away from a strange game in Phoenix, including the play of Atlanta center's DeAndre Hunter's activity and unsightly charge baiting, or where we got the term charge baiting from. So that's the 1 versus 16 matchup. We're going to have votes throughout the week. You, the fans, will decide who moves on to the second round. Matchups 1 through 16, you're going to get a vote on round 1. We're going to crown who belongs in the Donkey Award Ring of Dishonor. Who will be our first member to go up in the rafters here in the studio? So we're gonna vote. We're gonna do this because we need something to keep us entertained, and laughing at bad tweets is probably a good way to go about it. So head over to my Twitter page at Espo. I'm going to launch the 1 versus 16 voting right after the show. We'll keep rolling out additional matchups throughout the week, and we'll talk about results next week on the pod.
There you go. And as always, Dave, especially nice to see you. Seriously, don't leave the house, man. Yeah. I would be devastated if anything happened. Greg, always nice to see you, and of course everybody that joined us live.
Wait, am I allowed to leave the house? Like it was.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Greg, you go ahead.
You'll be fine.
After this, I'm actually going to go play basketball with about 16 dudes, and because in Florida, we don't give a fuck.
No, hold on, 10 people
Is that
in a
against
group.
The law?
Is Florida not on lockdown for idiots trying to play basketball shirtless outside? Like, is this?
First off, we don't play shirtless, so I think we'll be fine. No, here's the thing: in Florida, we just don't really give a damn. So, we'll be okay. But Dave, seriously, stay inside, buddy. Okay?
Oh, geez.
Why does this feel like
you're not as safe as you think you are?
All that vaping. I'm sure those lungs are in great health, my friend. Be careful out there. All right.
I'll be fine.
All right, guys. Maybe we'll try to do more than one of these since we're all trapped inside. Not that there's a lot of Suns to talk about, but at least this is a fun way to get together. So
all right, later. Thanks, guys. This is fun.